Welcome to Ecstatic Yoga. I am Grace. We'll be practicing a Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A today. A little different than our traditional Surya Namaskara C. We don't have any lunges in A. And a moon salutation. So we'll be doing both. We're going to start with the sun salutation and with the moon salutation to lead us down onto the floor into Savasana. And our focus is going to be on those pauses of bringing that love into ourselves, honoring ourselves, taking care of our needs, allowing ourselves to have boundaries, being able to say no if it means a yes to our alignment and our truth. So we're going to be taking some pauses. And as we pause, the focus is bringing in the love into the heart. And we're also going to be bringing a focus into the third eye, this Ajna chakra, right between the brows. And our mindfulness meditation, our 10-minute mindfulness meditation at the end of practice, we'll be having that single point of focus of that Ajna chakra. Powerful meditation. So let's begin. Getting onto our mats. Sitting in a nice, comfortable position. And taking this moment to settle in and begin to integrate from the world to your practice on the mat. And we're going to begin to breathe into that lower abdomen, that belly, abdominal breathing, as we trigger that relaxation response throughout our body. And just sitting with the breath for a few breaths, feeling that cool air coming through the nostrils. We're breathing through the nose. Watching as the breath may even naturally slow down. And with the inhale, imagining that prana and life force, like pouring a glass of water, drops down to the pelvic floor and fills up. You may start moving into 3-part yogic breath at any time, always beginning at the abdomen, filling that abdomen, that pelvic floor with prana on the inhale. All your awareness immersed and concentrated and focused on that breath. And that prana coming in, feeling the belly expanding like a balloon. Maybe even moving into 3-part where the ribs and then the chest expand. And a natural pause at any time at the top or the bottom of the breath. Taking a few moments as you breathe and become completely absorbed in this process. Just the breath. If your mind goes into thought, planning the day or the past or the future, just bring your attention back to the simple breath here now. And let's get even more centered and present on the mat as we feel the earth underneath us. Feel those sits bones. Move so that muscle and flesh. You can really feel those sits bones root into the earth. Acknowledging that support of Mother Earth, supporting your body. You can rely on that. That is always a constant. And bringing our attention to the physical body. Just scanning, noticing where you are in time and space, how your body feels. And diving in deeper into Pratyahara, noticing the inner energies, the inner aliveness. You may feel the heart beating, energetic pulsation expands throughout your entire body, the core pulsation within your body. Dive into that dynamic energy field within you. Breathing into the belly. Allow yourself to dive into the emotional body, allowing whatever is there to arise without judgment, without even needing to describe it. Simply bask in the felt sense. And bringing an intention into your awareness, something that you'd like to create in your life. Stating it in the positive and present moment as if it already is in existence, and feeling those emotions, how you'd feel as you have that fully manifest. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better, this or better. Let's come up to a standing position, and let's shake out arms, the legs, get the whole body into it, the shoulders and the head gently shaking out the body, waking it up, and moving into some twists, getting that spine activated, waking the spine up, that synovial fluid moving and flowing. Beautiful. I'm doing a little bit of cross crawl. Getting that right and left brain integrated. Feel more organized in your mind. Beautiful. And let's tap our thymus, wake that up. Maybe begin to tap the arms, legs, the torso, just waking up that organ of the skin and creating some lymph drainage and some detoxification into the skin and the lymph in the body. Some nice gentle taps, the fingertips on the face and the scalp. Beautiful job. We're going to move into our Surya Namaskara, our Chandra Namaskara. I'm sorry. I know we're going to move into Surya Namaskara A, and then we're moving into Chandra Namaskara, our moon salutation. So sun salutation A is very similar to C. However, we don't have a lunge in there. That's really the only difference that I can see. So let's begin with our A. Standing in mountain, feet are hip width apart. You can bring your fists to make sure that's hip width. Let's move into our loops. So lifting the arch up in our ankle loop, shin loop, feeling those calves engage, thigh loop, feeling the lift of the knees, thighs engage. You can relax the glutes, pelvic loop, that pelvis comes to neutral, kidney loop, feel the lift of the ribs, and our shoulder loop as it comes between our lips, bringing that chin parallel, shoulders go back, and it comes back down the back, so the shoulders drop down away from the ears, and crown loop as we feel the whole body lengthen as the crown is pulled up a little bit more. So feeling this alignment, this is where gravity is not going to hunch us over as we get older. This is where we can stay the tallest as we get older. And supposedly short people like me, we don't want to shrink too much. This will allow you to shrink less, and you'll maybe even grow a little taller as you get older if you move into mountain every day and elongate and lengthen that spine and bring those shoulders back and down. And gravity has nothing to pull forward as we're aligned. And we're inhale into our mountain, a nice extended mountain. You can go into a nice little back bend, gazing up towards the sky. And nice deep inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to move into a forward fold. So we're going to begin to hinge at the hips, coming all the way down. When you're at your edge of your hinge, allow the spine to round. And you can bring your hands down to blocks. Or you can bring your hand just right down onto the mat beside the feet. And you can even have a little micro bend in those knees if you need to. Thumbs are close to those little toes, relaxing the head. Take the sweatshirt off. I don't need it anymore. This is a shirt my beloved mama got me. She's on the other side with Johnny. And I just adore it. You'll see it later on. It's a cute one. Relaxing the head, shaking it back and forth. Just a nice little yes, no as we relax. And you can grab the elbows Engage the bandhas and breathe in this nice forward fold. On your next inhale, we're going to move into half forward fold. So you can bring the fingertips down to the mat, or you can bring them up just below the knees on the shins. I like bringing them to the shins and really extending that spine out away from the body, lengthening. Taking a couple more breaths here. Feeling a nice lengthening of that spine. And on the next exhale, we're going to bring the hands down to the mat. We're going to move right into our plank position. So we don't have our lunge in this. So we're moving right into a nice high plank, or you can drop the knees and move into a low plank. And we're going to come down nice and slowly, feeling that strong arms, bending those elbows, and moving right into our up dog, scooting, bringing those hips forward. Strong arms. And the thighs can be up above, off the earth, or resting down on the earth. Engage the bandhas and breathe. One more breath. And we're going to exhale right into down dog. Right into our down dog. And this is a beautiful pose. You can bring those heels down towards the earth, chest down towards the earth. Thighs are back. Coming back. Strong arms, fingers are spread. Wrists are shoulder length apart. Feet are hip width apart. Feeling a little flexion in the lumbar spine. We're not in an extension. So feeling a nice rounding of those lumbars. Engage the bandhas and breathe, and you might want to start a little walking the dog as you stretch one heel. When that heel drops down to the earth, opposite knee bends in, and switching to the opposite heel. Breathing into the belly, engaging the bandhas. And coming back to center, one more breath in your downward facing dog. Do Mukta Svanasana. On your next inhale, looking straight ahead, and we are going to walk those feet right up and move into half forward fold. Just skipping those lunges. And taking a breath here, feeling that spine elongate, lengthen, feel that nice stretch. And on your very next exhale, we're going to move back into our forward fold. Can grab onto the elbows. Bring the hands behind the back. And one more breath here. Nice, long, deep breath. On your next inhale, we're going to lift that head first. Look up. The heart, let it lead the way as we come all the way back up. And we're going to do one more, inhaling into our our forward fold. And we're going to complete it into our mountain pose. And we're going to do one more. Feel those nice loops in our body. Feel that nice spiral of the upper legs moving in, and the arms are down. Shoulders are spiraling in a little. And then as we inhale and bring those arms up, feel a little external rotation in the shoulders. Inhaling into a little back bend. Exhaling, folding forward. And we're going to move to breath. Inhale, half forward fold. Exhale, forward fold. And we'll move into our plank position. Nice deep inhale in our plank. Exhale, coming down in chaturanga. And inhale into up dog. And exhale into down dog. Taking one breath here. And inhaling, stepping forward into half forward fold. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling up to an extended mountain. And moving back into our mountain with the hands in front of our heart in Anjali Mudra. And we're going to take this time to pause before we move into Chandra Namaskara, our moon salutation. And as we send this time to pause, we're going to also bring the attention to the third eye. Allow that love in our heart for our own self to raise up into the third eye. Pausing in self-love and allowing that love to expand into that third eye chakra. And that love from the heart chakra up through the throat, flowingly, land in your third eye. Breathing into the belly. And you can even imagine that third eye floating right in the center of your skull, behind that point between your brows. We have a line going this way, a line going this way. Where they intersect would be that Ajna chakra. How much love can you receive and allow into your heart, into your being, into your conversation, into your actions, into all that you do, extending only love, first to the self, and then out to the world. And coming back, we move into our Chandra Namaskara. So we can either start this in a star with hands on the hips or in a mountain. Hands in Anjali. I'm going to start in mountain because we're going to move into half moon in a moment anyways. So I'm going to feel those loops again. I'm going to feel that lift of the arch, engaging the calves, feeling the lift of the knee, engaging those quadriceps, pelvis coming neutral, lift of the ribs, chest, feeling the scalp and the whole body lifting and raising and lengthening. And on the next inhale, bringing those hands up into a nice extended mountain, dropping the shoulders back, clasping the hands together. And let's move into our half moon, opening up the side body. Take a couple breaths on either side. I like to inhale over to the side I like to exhale as I switch over to the other side. And when you inhale, you can imagine inhaling into the side body, the lungs on the side body. We don't want to collapse in here, using some muscle to keep us up. And coming back to center. And then we are going to open the legs and the arms in our goddess. So the feet are going to be pointing out a little bit, heels in. We're going to bend those knees while we go into a nice goddess squat. And find your squat. It could be low, 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 low. It could be high, 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 high. With the knees only bent a little. Find what's comfortable and natural for you right now. Hands can be facing out towards the world or in towards yourself. Engaging the bandhas and breathe in our goddess. One more breath. Beautiful. On your next inhale, straighten the legs and coming up directly into our star pose. 5 lines of energy. It's all coming from the solar plexus down both legs, up, out, both arms, and then right out through the crown. 5 simultaneous lines of energies. Feel the feet pressing into the earth, the arms and fingertips stretching out, and the crown reaching up, all simultaneously as we engage those bandhas and breathe. Three deep breaths. One more breath. Beautiful. And on this next inhale, we're going to actually hinge into our triangle. So we can take that front foot and bring it 90 degrees. So I have my front foot is my left foot. I'm going to bring my left hand down. Right arm, shoulders are stacked to a beautiful triangle. This is a nice place where you can use a block as well. Keep that heart open. We want to try to be in one line of energy, like you're between 2 walls. Maybe a little micro bend in that front knee. Let's engage the bandhas and breathe. One more breath. Next inhale, reaching up into the fingertips. And on the exhale, we're going to bring the hands, both hands down to the mat, one hand on either side of the mat. You can use 2 blocks, or you can bring the hands to that. You can adjust that back foot so it's 90 degrees and rest comfortably in pyramid, resting the chest on the front thigh. Engage the bandhas and bring in that prana, resting in pyramid, noticing sensations. One more breath here in your lunge. In your pyramid, I'm sorry, we're moving into lunge. Now on your next inhale, we're going to drop that back knee. And we're going to move into a nice low lunge. You can adjust that front foot, sinking those hips down and feeling that nice lunge, that nice hip opener. And the invitation is, if you like, to bring the arms up, or you can keep them down onto the mat. And let's engage the bandhas and breathe. One more breath here. And coming back to center, we're going to adjust ourselves into a side lunge. So bringing the hands to the mat and bending that knee. And opposite leg is reaching out and bringing the hands to the heart. A nice side lunge. Engaging the bandhas and breathe. One more breath. Let's bring the hands down to the earth. We're moving to garland, so we're going to bend both knees and see if you can come down onto the whole foot, the flat of the foot. And the elbows can be resting on the inside of the legs and the knees. You can bring the hands into Anjali Mudra. You can kind of press those legs apart for a little bit of hip opening and more sensation. Engaging those bandhas, and let's bring in the prana for 3 deep breaths in garland. One more breath. Beautiful job. And bringing the hands to the mat. And this right leg is going to bend as I extend the left leg out and come into side lunge on the other side. Bringing the hands to the heart in Anjali Mudra. Engage those bandhas at Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara Bandha. And breathe. One more breath. Beautiful job. And bring those hands down to the earth. And we're going to put a hand on either side of that front leg. It's my right leg now. And we're going to drop that back knee, that left knee, and moving into a nice low lunge. So feel those hips come down towards the earth, that nice hip opening here. And coming up with the arms. Gazing forward, shoulders dropping down away from the ears. Engage the bandhas and bring in the life force with breath. Charging up the dynamic energy field within us and sealing up those bandhas so nothing leaks out. One more breath. Beautiful job. And we're going to bring the hands down to the mat and curl the back toe under, straightening that back leg, straightening the front, and relax into pyramid. Resting the chest on the front thigh, hands on either side of the front foot for stabilization. Engage the bandhas and breathe. One more breath. And we are going to move back in triangle. So let's set our foundation. Front foot is 90 degrees. Back foot is 35 to 40. And this is where if you want to use a block, you can. Or you can, the options are to have the hand down on in front of that front foot, or you can have it just resting a little above the earth, or you can use a block. Using a block like we did on the other side. I'm going to do this. And here we are in our Trikonasana. Shoulders are stacked. Engage the bandhas and breathe. I'm going to widen my foundation a little bit. So always feel free to be moving and adjusting as you breathe. One more breath. The next inhale, we're going to swoop right up into our star pose. And adjust those feet so they're both pointing out. Beautiful. Energy's all coming from the solar plexus, those 5 lines of energies, the legs, the arms, and right out through the crown. Engage the bandhas and breathe. Gazing forward, finding a drishti. Keeping those simultaneous lines of energy active. One more breath here. Next breath, we're going to bring those heels in a little bit. Bend those knees over the feet. Bring in the arms up into goddess. We're in our goddess squat. Everything comes from the heart. Up through the arms, out the palms of the hands. Engage the bandhas and breathe. One more breath. Next inhale, coming all the way up. And we can bring those feet together. Bringing those arms up into a nice extended mountain and moving right into half moon. Nice lateral stretch of the spine. Moving back and forth from either side. Keeping the breath flowing. Let's do it. Let's go to each side one more time. We conclude in our mountain. And we're going to do a little pause before we do one more Chandra Namaskara, 2 breaths. Taking a moment to bring your awareness to this third eye and the heart. Self-love. Pouring that love for your own self in towards the self. And letting that energy rise up through the Sushumna, through the throat chakra, and right to the third eye. So it's opening your throat chakra, your heart, and your third eye. And our self-love, our self-respect, our honoring and cherishing and respecting ourselves is fueling this self-love, where we are taking care of our needs. We are honoring our hearts, following our highest excitement, taking care of ourselves and honoring our boundaries, putting up our boundaries, saying yes to our alignment and our self and our truth, even if it means to disappoint or say no to someone else. We want to say yes to ourselves, not sell out on our own hearts. Nice pause, basking in self-love, letting that activate the upper chakras, especially that throat and third eye. And coming back, and we're going to move into one more Chandra Namaskara to breath. So we're going to inhale those arms up, inhale over to the side, exhale, switching over to the other side and inhaling into this other side. Exhaling back to center and releasing the hands. Inhaling a nice wide stance, knees are in. Exhale, inhale into our goddess. Exhaling, goddess. Nice long deep breaths. Inhaling into our star. Exhaling in star. Inhaling into triangle, pointing that front foot 90. Exhaling in triangle. One more inhale in our triangle, reaching up. And exhaling into pyramid, rotating that back foot 90 degrees. One breath in pyramid. Relaxing in your beautiful pyramid. Next, exhale, dropping that knee, moving into a low lunge. Inhaling into your lunge, raising the hands. Exhaling in lunge. Inhaling in lunge again. And exhaling those hands down, moving into side lunge. Inhaling. One breath. Exhale. Next inhale, bringing the hands down, moving into garland. Taking a breath here. And now moving into low lunge on the other side, a side lunge on the other side. Nice deep breath here. Next breath, moving into low lunge. Sinking those hips down. On the next inhale, bringing the arms up. A breath in low lunge. And on your next exhale, bringing the hands down, curling those toes under, straightening that back leg and the front leg and moving into pyramid. Adjusting that back foot to 35 to 40 and moving into our triangle. A nice full breath here. Next, inhale into our star. Full inhale and exhale in star. Moving into goddess. Nice goddess squat. Your next inhale, coming up to a standing position, bringing the feet back hip width, moving in to our half moon again. Back to center, bringing the hands in front of the heart in Anjali Mudra. And pausing again, bringing self-love, appreciation, acknowledgement, respect, honor towards your own self. Courage that you have, your bravery, that you are here in this experience. It takes courage. Sending your heart love and letting that love overflow and rise up through the Sushumna, through the throat chakra, and into the third eye, Ajna chakra, right between the brows, right in the center of the head, bringing all your focused attention to that Ajna chakra. More breath. And let's open the heart. Let's open the legs and the heart. Let's go into a nice wide leg forward fold. Bringing the hands down to the earth, relaxing the head. And honoring the heart. This nice forward fold. The heart is the highest organ. You want to bring the hands up. Clasping in the yoga, standing yoga mudra type of, you can do that. Or if you'd like to take the hands behind the calves, pull the body in, feel a nice stretch on the back of the legs. Couple more breaths here. And bringing the hands down to the earth, coming down. And let's come all the way down onto our backs. And bring the knees into the chest and rock back and forth, releasing and relaxing that lower back. And bring the feet onto the mat, hip width apart. We'll begin with our releases. First is our hula. And so we're just swiveling these hips. The sacrum, the back is resting on the earth. Nothing's lifting up. One hip is moving down towards the heel as the opposite. It's reaching up towards the ribs and the armpit. And then switching. Feeling that in the sacrum, the lumbar. Nice, slow, repetitive movements. Keeping the breath flowing, bond is engaged as we pull down, release the low back so we can rest comfortably in Savasana. And coming back to neutral, move into hip pointers. One hip, butt cheek stays rooted into the earth. The other is going to point up and lift up a little bit. Little teeny bit of a twist as well. One hip at a time, pointing up towards the sky. Basking in the sensations in the body. That low back, that lumbar, this pelvic area, hips. Gentle breaths in the belly. Always have the option to move into Ujjayi breath. And coming back to neutral. And moving into our supine cat-cow. Moving into cat first as you tuck the tailbone under, rock that pelvis back, and feel the small of the back pressing into the earth, that lumbar spine. And then as you move into your cow, you're going to tilt that pelvis forward, arch that lumbar spine up, off the back, and a back bend, extension of the spine. And moving back and forth at your own pace, nice, slow, repetitive movements as you notice the sensation. Breathing into the belly, gentle engagement of the bandhas. And when you come into child and flexion, the small of the back is pressed into the earth. Even lift those hips a little bit. And then as you come down, coming from the upper thoracics, mid thoracics, lower thoracic to the lumbar, like a string of pearls. Nice massage on the spine. Do that a couple more times. Coming back to neutral. And keeping the knees up, we're going to walk the feet further and further apart till they come to the wide edges of the mat. We're going to move into single knee drop, dropping one knee at a time into the center. Releasing the hips, and the back, pelvis. Nice, slow, repetitive movements, basking in the sensations. Keeping the breath flowing, bandhas gently engaged. Coming back to center, we're going to walk those feet back together, knees are up, and then dropping both knees over to one side or the other. Notice the sensations here as you take a breath. It's a nice twist. When you're ready, you can lift that top leg up, and you go over to the other side. Take a moment when both legs are wide to take a nice breath here. Noticing the sensations. Allow the bottom leg to come and follow. And continue with your double knee drop at your own pace. Keeping the breath flowing, bandhas gently engaged. One more time on either side. And coming back to center, let's bring those knees into the chest, rocking back and forth a little bit and taking any last little movements or poses you might want to make before we move right into Savasana, relaxation. And relaxing in your Savasana pose, feet a little wider than hip width, the hands out a little wider, palms up, and letting the body relax and sink deeper into the earth. Really surrendering the body to the earth, knowing that you will be held. You can release all that little bits of holding of tension in the muscles, allowing your body to surrender even more deeply into Mother Earth, letting everything go. All the muscles, feel the bones sinking deeper towards the earth, the organs relaxing. As we rest in silence, allowing the practice to integrate deeply into all levels of our being, mind, body, spirit. Taking a nice deep breath into the belly. Beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Stretching out the arms and the legs. I invite you to do a nice little chi builder before we come up to seated position. You can bring the knees up, get the back comfortable, and move into that hula for a moment. Feel That swiveling of the hips as one hip comes up towards the ribs, all opposite drops down towards the heel. Everything's flat on the earth and switching. Other hip comes up towards the ribs and opposite one comes down. And beginning to move a little faster in your hula. And faster and faster. You find a nice flow. And you can keep the knees up, or you can see how it feels with the legs straight out. And this motion is more rapid, builds your chi, your life force energy in the body. There are machines worth thousands of dollars that will do the same thing for you, but you can do it yourself. And it's even more efficient. And beginning to slow down. And when you're stopped, rolling over to one side or the other, taking a nice deep breath here. And coming up to a seated position, and we're going to move right into our mindfulness meditation. Our focus today is our mindfulness focus is that third eye. So remembering this point right between your brows, you can tap it. And you can also bring your awareness to that pineal gland, that Ajna chakra that is right in the center of the head, floating. Our chakras, even though it's the heart, it's actually right in the center, our heart chakra, right in the center, right along the spine, in front of the spine. So breathing into the belly and bring your concentrated focus to that third eye, Ajna chakra. Your physical eyes, even though they're closed, you can feel them drawn up to that third eye chakra in the center of your skull, your brain. Mind wanders, just kindly and gently bring it back to your anchor, Ajna chakra. All your awareness focused on that third eye, Ajna chakra. Concentrated attention of that third eye. Taking a nice deep into your belly as you release that concentration and begin to scan the body. Notice the emotions, the inner energies, even the physical body, maybe even some shifts from when you began practice. And let's revisit that intention that we set at the beginning of practice, repeating it silently to ourselves, seeing it in our mind's eyes, fully manifested, and basking in those emotions, enjoying the emotional benefit of that intention fulfilled. And releasing that intention with a this or better, this or better. And we will conclude our practice with a namaste. Xander is going to be a part of our namaste prayer. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, light, truth, and peace. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for ecstatic yoga, Surya Namaskara A and Chandra Namaskara, moon salutation. Wishing you a most beautiful and blessed day. Please check out ecstaticyoga.studio for more information on our yoga retreats and our teacher trainings.